Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the ultimate back to school session. Tonight, we kick off 2026 back to school, and I cannot believe that we've come to another year again. The year goes so quick. So, if you're joining us on here, welcome, and please share the link with someone. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook Live, we're on Instagram Live. Tonight, we're going to have a wonderful conversation, and you don't want a brother, a sister, a friend to miss it. My name is Pastor Phyllis, or you can call me Phyllis Hope. Um, and I will say hey to you. But I've got on my panel tonight some wonderful, wonderful guests. So please send a message to your friends, send a message to a brother or sister, and just tell them, look, we're having the back to school conversation. Um, I will first of all um get my guests to introduce themselves because we want to make sure that we're getting the conversation in straight away. This year, before I do that, this year we picked the theme um building resilience to focus on, mainly because of what is happening around us and around our communities, amongst our friends, people that are close to us, even children and parents that we know. And we are seeing so many burdens that are coming on children in terms of their mental state. We've seen a trajectory of this happen from since COVID, and we've seen so many statistics that are talking about how COVID has affected our children, how COVID has affected our children, and how COVID has affected our children over the years. And we're seeing how children are being affected by so many factors. And I felt really strong about this topic, and I wanted us to be able to talk about it and have an understanding of how we can build resilience in our children. At the moment, we know how to give our children tuition. We know where to look for. We know what schools we're looking for. But if their mental state of our children is not right, we're not going to be able to get there. So that is what informed this whole sessions, the whole theme for this year. And I want to say that Phyllis Hope Ministry is there. We do this ultimate back to school to empower parents, to help parents to be able to find hope, and to be able to know and understand, that all is not lost. Even as you prepare for your child to go back to school in September, they may have some fears, you may have some issues, but you still have time to deal with it. So without further ado, I will go straight up and I will introduce my guests for tonight. And we they will introduce themselves. These are wonderful women that I know personally, and I'm so privileged to have to be able to call them. So I will first of all go to my professor, and I'm so privileged to know a professor. It's not easy to get that, get a PhD, let alone become a professor. So I will first of all go to Dr. Adjoa. Please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about yourself, please.
Hello, everyone. So I am on the other side of the world. I'm in the United States. My name is Dr. Ajua Dionum. I'm a neurophysiologist or an associate dean of academics, and I just transitioned into that position. But I've been a professor of neuroscience for many, many years. And I was really excited about being part of this panel because my area of research is about learning and memory and how the brain actually functions. So when Pastor Phyllis asked me, yeah, she had to twist my arm a little bit, but it's all good. Um, Another tight hat that I wear is also co-pastoring with her. Although I'm in the U.S. and she's in London, we are, co-pastors in the same church. So that's me.
Thank you so much, Pastor Joe. And I'll
Mhm.
go to um Valentina. Val, please, can you introduce yourself? Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Valentina, and I'm a qualified mental health nurse. I've been working in mental health for almost 7 years now. And I love what I do and I see the need that is needed in the community. I also have my own business organization where I provide mental health support to like on a one-to-one basis. I do workshops as well for younger adults. And in a nutshell, that's what I do. Yeah. Thank you for having me today, Pastor Phyllis.
Thank you so much, Val. And I will go to my one and only Frankie. Please introduce yourself.
Evening, everyone. I hope you're well. My name's Frankie Eshen, and I'm a content creator. I create content online with my husband and my three kids, family, lifestyle, fashion, just a bit of everything, really. We just share our day to day lives as a black family in the UK. So nice to meet you all, and looking forward to chatting to you all.
All right. Thank you all so much. And I will go get into the conversation right away because I really want us to be able to talk at length and be able to share these ideas, your knowledge on these areas. So tonight we're talking about resilience within, and the focus for the conversation is around developing a healthy mindset, emotional well-being, and a strong identity in our children. And I believe that if we're going to build resilience, um that is the starting point. And so I want to first of all go to Dr. Ajua, um and ask the question, as children prepare for a new school year and for children as a whole, what does resilience redeem mean to you, and why is it such an important foundation for children both in and outside the classroom? So what when we talk about resilience within, what does it mean to you, please?
All right. So with resilience is the ability to maintain, and let me use that word, the ability to maintain and navigate different situations regardless of what is going on. So you basically don't let what is happening dictate how you function, right? To the best of your ability. And so, however difficult things are, you try to hold. And this is something that is learned. We learn resilience. It is not something that, sorry, my 4-year-old, this is not something that you just okay, hang on. This is not something that you just come up with. It's something that you have to learn and you have to be intentional about. And so we as parents also have to teach our children resilience because they should be able to stand. We need to teach them to be strong. Yes, they're going to be challenging times, but when those challenging times come, we work through it. We find ways to work through it so that they get better and better and better for the next challenge because life from birth to death is full of challenges. Um, One of the ways you can build resilience, and I say the best way is from here. It's about developing that mindset that regardless of how it is, there's got to be a way around it, right? And so, whatever the situation, there is a way around it. And so, as we change our mind, we build a healthier mindset. We're able to build that resilience with time. It takes about 21 days, about 3 weeks to form a habit. So every habit that we have, we had to have done that habit consistently for 21 days straight to form that habit. And how do we form habit? With neuroplasticity. So the phenomenon of neuroplasticity is that the brain is plastic, it stretches, right? And so we're able to make connections to different parts. And so as we're very intentional about that which we want to do, the brain begins to form the necessary connections. And regardless, it's not even an age thing. As long as you challenge the brain, it will make that connection. So let me just stop here and come back with a different angle. But anyway, let me say this. So give you an example of how the brain can is plastic. There's a story of a surgeon who had a stroke. And as a surgeon, he uses his right hand. He was right-handed and he had a stroke. And so he couldn't practice as a surgeon. So while he was recovering from the stroke, what he did, what his therapist, his rehab therapist did was they tied his left hand behind his back and forced him to use his right hand. And in time he was able to use his right hand, not necessarily to perform surgeries again, but to live a good life and still be a physician, at least here in the US. What happened? Because the area that controlled his right hand was damaged, he was still able to have neurons form connections to that damaged area to supply it for him to be able to have functions of his right hand again. So really neuroplasticity or neuronal wiring or mapping is absolutely essential for us to build resilience. As we practice, as we go through, I can do this, I can make it. We're then able to form new connections and you know, form greater resilience. And that's what I'll add for now.
Right. Thank you so much. I'll jump straight to Frank for you to give me something on a lighter note because there's a lot of science that has been spoken about. So, Frank, what does resilience within mean to you? Please, you're muted.
Sorry, everyone. Sorry, I should know better than that. But resilience is being able to deal, basically, have the right tools to deal with something that is happening.
Yeah.
And I don't know, this whole year, we've probably heard the word resilience so many times, especially within our kids' schools. I don't
Yeah.
like to say this, but they don't really know how to deal with things. They live in a very microwave world, and where even if they said no, they don't know what to do. It's like you said, I don't know, if you say no to your child, it's like you said the worst thing ever, because there's just no resilience there. And I think especially in schools, it's needed because they're not always going to get something right. They're going to have new teachers. They're going to go into a new year. They're going to need to have the tools to be able to deal with those things. My son is going into year 4 in September, and I was just watching him and his peers crying because they were leaving their teacher, and I was just looking at them thinking, the teacher is not going anywhere, guys. You know, but I get why they're crying. It's sentiments. They're gonna miss her. But then I was just looking at them as like, so what are you not gonna do in this life if you're crying because you're moving from a different teacher? So I think with resilience, it's so important that we build identity within our kids. If you actually look at confident children, they are resilient. You know, they know who they are. So yes, things may happen, but they have resilience. They have the tools to deal with things that are going to come their way, because it's going to happen. It's life, unfortunately. So even from when you're young, you're having to be resilient. So I think it's so needed in the school right now. And it's not, I know we say, you know, we're Christians and, you know, my child is a child of God. Yes, definitely they are. But there's other tools, realistic tools that we also need to build within our children. Our children need to be confident. Children of God should be confident children. There's a lot of these kids, they cannot even hold conversations.
Yeah.
So how can a child that is meant to be resilient not hold a conversation? So yeah, that's
All right.
my
Franklin was about to go there, but we've got more coming. So yeah. Um,
yeah.
we're talking about resilience within. Val, what does that mean to you? You being a mental health nurse, what does it mean for you?
So, Frankie and Pastor Joa have basically explained what resilience is. So I'm just gonna go straight in. Like, working as a mental health nurse, I've worked in younger adults, well, young children's wards, like eating disorder and so forth. And working with them, I've seen how much the lack of resilience has affected their condition. Obviously, depending on who the carer is or who the parent is, I believe that when it comes to children, the role of like implementing resilience in children is up to us parents or the carer. And as Frankie said, when there is a lack of that, unfortunately, the kids are unable to perform properly when it comes to the academics, when it comes to, even among their peers, they are unable to do that. And I feel like some parents, sometimes they just give the job to the teachers to do everything. But unfortunately, they are just there for a set amount of hours. Yes, they are there maybe Monday to Friday. However, you are their parent, you are their carer, and you are the adult. And unfortunately, as a child, they wouldn't even know how to spell resilient. So it's up to you, the parent or the carer, to explain that to them, to teach them, and to empower them as they, as they continue to grow, when they make efforts, when they do things. It's up to the parent to, like, let them know, oh, okay, you're doing very well, keep going, and then pushing that out of them. Because unfortunately, a teacher, yes, they're doing their job, but not all of them might have their best interests at heart as much as you, the parent or the carer. So you need to be the one that has to put your foot down. You and your husband, you and your partner, or the carer, you need to put your foot down and ensure that resilience is building your child, rather than just giving that responsibility to the school. So that's what I believe, and that's what I've seen as well.
All right. Thank you so much. So, the opening, I love the opening for this conversation because Pastor Joe has made us know, Dr. Joe has made us know that we, at every point in time, the brain can be developed with that example that he gave. So, for a parent or a carer or someone that's responsible for a young person that you're listening, it is not too late. You can begin to build it. Franklin has highlighted the conversations because she actually is actually a parent governor as well in the school. So she's also highlighting the conversation that are happening in our schools around resilience of our children, and we can see it so much. And Val has actually buttressed that to let us know that resilience is our ability to be able to put the right things in place to regardless of what's going on the outside, our children will still be able to thrive. There's a question that I really want us to go to Dr. Adjoa with to buttress that point. Many children today are under pressure to perform and often fear making mistakes, which I really don't understand. But that's how the human beings we are. We don't want to make mistake. We don't want to do something wrong. And from a neuroscience perspective, how does the brain develop resilience? And I really want to go into the science because I put my pastor hat on and I really believe in this Bible verse that says that God has given us all things that pertains to life and godliness. That means that everything that we need to be able to live, to be strong, to be versatile, God has given it to us. So it's already in our subconsciousness already. But I want Pastor Joe, I would like you to talk to us a bit about how does the brain develop resilience, and then if you can let us know about practical things parents can do to help children embrace, challenges, learn from failure and build confidence, things that pertains to the science part of it, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Um, so let me start talking to or speaking with us parents. Don't do what you've been doing. A lot of times the fear comes from home because they want to please us so much that they're afraid to fail. And when they do fail and they come home and we realize that they didn't do as well as we'd hoped they would do, instead of encouraging them, we tear them down. So let's stop. Let's start with that one. Let's stop doing that. However, things went in your life should not dictate how it should go in your child's life. So, first of all, we have to know our children and their capabilities, their mental capacity, and then not necessarily deal with them, um, um, nurture, that's the proper word, nurture that accordingly. If you have, like, Minister Franklin says, she has 3 kids, beautiful kids, but each one of those kids have different abilities, right? And so she does not look at, one kid number 1 and say, you're not doing as well as kid number 2 and 3, so that's not good enough. No, everyone is very special. So we as parents need to do that. Once they get that type of confidence, it is easy for the brain to take over.
Mm.
Because if they start with a defeated mindset, it will not happen because the brain sees the defeat and goes with it. Okay. So whatever we present to the brain is what it's going to take and feed off and then do things. I'll give you another example. I was watching television the other day, and it was about a veteran who had been, he's drug dependent, you know. And so, unfortunately, while he was at war, his left arm, forearm, got amputated, got blasted off, so to speak. And he was experiencing something called phantom limb syndrome. And phantom is sort of a ghost. So his brain does not recognize that his left arm is gone, and so pain is still shooting through his left arm. Long story short, he came across a physician who taught him something called the box mirror effect. And all he did was put a box, and a mirror at the bottom of the box. He inserted his arm in the box and had him look at the mirror. When you look through a mirror, you see two images. So once he put his right arm in the mirror, the brain looking at the mirror could see two arms instead of one. The brain does not know that he physically does not have the other arm. So with time, the brain realized that, oh, he still has two arms, and stopped sending the pain signal to his left arm, but it was still gone, right? So that's how we teach the brain. Whatever we present to our brain is what it's going to take, feed on, and build on. So, how do we help our children build resilience? By how we present things to them. Yes, they didn't do so well. Yes, things were difficult. Yes, the challenging situation came. As you introduce positive things to them, positive. Yes, you didn't do well, but you know what? There's the next time. And this is what we're going to do to ensure that next time you do better. If you don't do better, we'll try again. And we keep trying until you get to that point, right? And so that child, then the brain is saying, I can do this. So next time, even if you're not 100%, you get to 95, 85, whatever it is, 45, at least you would have done, they would have done a little bit better than before. So please let us encourage our children with our words and with our actions, because all of it goes here, and then the brain is going to say yay or nay, and whatever we feed it, it's going to run with it.
All right. Thank you so much. That
Thank you.
that example is so powerful that what the brain could not even see that the amputation was not even there. And all that it saw was that there was two. And so what are you presenting? I think from that conversation, what are you presenting to your child? What are you allowing to be at the forefront of your child all the time? I'll go to Val with the next question. Now, what are some of the early signs? I want Val to talk to us about. Children don't always have the words to express what they're feeling. I know one of my pastors always, Pastor Jem, she said that her kids are, I'm so stressed. And I look at kids and thinking, do you know what? You don't even know what stress is. They've just heard the word and they're telling their brain themselves that they're so stressed. And for me, I don't feel like children always have the words to express what they're feeling. What are some of the early signs that a child may be struggling emotionally, and how can parents create a home where children feel safe, heard, emotionally supported before those struggles begin to be overwhelming? And that is when their resilience, would have gone out of the window. So what are some of the early signs that you can see if your child does not have the words? And especially, I speak for myself with child as a parent with of a special needs child. There are other things that what are some of the things that I could look at to know that my child is really overwhelmed?
Yeah, so obviously I'm a mom. My daughter is only two, but as I said before, I've worked with a lot of children as a nurse, and I think to begin with, as you said, Pastor Phyllis, children will not be able to explain or express their emotions because they are children. But as parents or carers, that's why it's important to know your child or to know who you're caring for. Because if you know them, you'll be able to identify the change. For example, when in the hospital, when I worked with children, um, obviously this was eating disorder unit, and a lot of children had different conditions like self-harm, suicide thoughts, and they were actually acting on this thought. So they will not necessarily open their mouth and say, oh, I'm gonna try and kill myself today, or I'm going to try and escape. They will never say that to you. You will see them acting normally. But if you know your patient, if you know the child you're taking care of, you will know the change. You realize that maybe they are very much outspoken, they are very bubbly, they like taking care of themselves. Like when they wake up in the morning, they'll do their makeup, they'll dress nice. But for some weeks now, so for some days, that has changed. So those are it could be the silliest thing, but as a
Mm.
carer and as a parent, it's important for you to know your child, because you are their highest advocate. Because if you don't recognize, if you don't know how they are and how they behave, you will never be able to identify the change. So I believe that, for example, if as I said before, if they are very bubbly, but then for some days now you've seen the change, that they're not speaking as much, they are not outgoing as much as they used to be, they're not taking care of themselves. There are some young girls that they like to, play dress up and all of these things, but all of a sudden you see that change, even change in appetite.
Mm.
So as I said, it unfortunately, you can't categorize this for every child, because every child is different. So that's why it's very important that as a carer or as a parent, you need to know your child in order to identify the change, so that you can create that safe space for them. And I believe that even when children come back to school, or when they do something, we tend to ask, oh, how was school? The quickest and easiest answer for them to say and get out of the way is fine. That doesn't allow them to elaborate or speak or say nothing. But then if you can change the way you ask the question, that can allow them to kind of like open up to you, speak to you, and through that conversation you can also identify maybe areas in their school or maybe among their friends that they are struggling with. Because if you just simply ask how was school, all they're going to say is fine, because they're
Mm.
children, they don't know how to express their emotions. So I believe that, as I said, yeah, it's important to just find a way to understand your child, understand the person, the child that you're taking care of, and be there for them and create that safe space where they can actually open up to you. Because I always say that it doesn't even just work for children, but even as adults, if you're going through something and you're finding it difficult to open up to someone, but eventually you find the courage to speak to someone, and the moment you speak to the person, they make you feel bad, are you going to go back to them and speak to them again about any struggle? You won't go back. So I always say that how you feel after a conversation with someone is very, very important. And when it comes to children, it's literally the same. So as they come to you as a parent, as a carer, no matter how difficult it is, you need to find ways to engage with them so that they can find safety within you, because they might not even remember what you're telling them, but what they'll remember is the fact that they felt safe with you, so they can return back. So that's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think as you were speaking, I was really thinking about um us finding the language for it. And I feel sometimes you as a parent, you may not even, depending on your background, a lot of our parents didn't even have language for their emotion.
Mhm.
And so it's an issue of something that has been transferred. um they just say they never elaborated or talked about their
Yeah.
emotion with
Yeah.
share their emotion with us. And I think,
Yeah.
like, we are from a slightly generation below, what the gens before the Gen Zs, and our parents, they never had language for their
Yeah.
emotion.
And
And
that's
it
the
is very,
problem.
and that is a
It is.
big problem. Valentina, can you talk about that?
Yeah.
And also, let me phrase the question very well. If someone finds themselves in a place where they can't find language for their own emotion, how are they going to teach their children? And how
Yes.
can they build that new journey with their child for them to now find language for that without compensating, so to speak? And then
Yeah.
if anybody would like to chime in, I mean, Frank Pasadra, if you'd like to chime in on that as well, because I
Yeah.
think that's a big issue that we have in our communities.
I believe that obviously, as being all Ghanaians and coming from a Ghanaian background, obviously we know that emotions are not something that it was,
Mhm.
a big thing or spoken about in the house. So obviously we've come now and we have learned all these new things, but it's important for us to also use these skills that unfortunately not all of us acquired it from their parents because of their background that we come from. Because speaking about emotion in the Ghanaian household is like a taboo. Why are you sad? Why are you low? You can't be low, So it's even hard. That's why many people used to go outside the house to speak to other people about their emotion, because they can't really confront their parents. I feel like for us, it's like we are really adapting and learning new communication skills that where we can use to, elaborate and speak about emotion, make our voices heard. And also now as parent and as carers, or it's important for us to really learn. And if you don't know, it's important for you to acquire that knowledge, because you can't know everything. And I feel like sometimes pride can come in their way, because you're like, no, I know how to speak, I know how to engage with my child. But it's important to know that, okay, you were not brought up in that way. You were not, you didn't inherit these skills, because unfortunately your parents maybe didn't do that with you. So by default you don't know it. So it's important to know, okay, if I don't know something, I need to acquire knowledge. And there are books, even if you have people around you that you can see that they have more knowledge in that area, ask them, speak to them. I feel like we need to be more teachable rather than thinking that, oh, we know everything. And approach people, trusted people, of course, and learn those skills that we can then implement in our household and in the community.
Right.
I think just
Thank
based
you.
on that, I think we can learn. And I don't know, I'm just at a point where I don't give our parents the excuse anymore, because we are second generation. I personally was born here. My mum has been in this country for over 40 years. So now if she does something, I'm going to correct her, because I believe that you should know better. And
Yeah.
I believe also with our parents, a lot of us are of age where you can correct your parents.
Yeah, we
And
are the
we
new
should not be,
parents.
yeah, we should not be, I know it's hard. And it's hard. We've been through certain things. Yes, we've had parents that you couldn't express, how you feel, but that should no way be an excuse. There's too many resources. Our parents alone are afforded to loads of these resources. I see these parents constantly on TikTok, WhatsApp, Facebook. So to me, you have no excuse. You need
100%.
to learn. You need to learn. You need to learn. You now need to be able to communicate to a certain level. You now need to understand. I should be able to come to you and say what you did was not right, and you should not be able to get offended. We should have a grown conversation,
Yeah.
because we've all been around for too long now. Like, most of our parents here have been in this country for. There's just no excuse. And this is for anyone. There are so many resources where you can learn if you feel like your child is not resilient. It even leads on to what I'm even talking about: identity. Speak to your child. A lot of people don't speak to their children. And this is not, Valentina mentioned, when you ask a child, how was your day, they are going to say fine, because
Yeah.
what other answer should they
Yeah,
give you?
exactly.
So I do these things with my kids: give me two good things and one bad thing. And then,
Yeah.
just so, also the reason why I don't do two bad things is just so, because there's good things happen. I don't want to hone too much on the bad thing, but I also want you to tell me if something bad happened. Have open conversations. Ask them, like, is there something you want to tell me? Just randomly have one-to-one time with them, so they feel open to come to you. Because when a child is confident, that is how they're going to know who they are and be resilient in this world. If they have low self-esteem, they don't feel confident, and then that's when they're led by social media, which we all, and those things. Now, don't get me wrong, it can happen regardless, but we need to be more responsible for our kids, communicate with them more, do more things with them, make them learned, let them have experience of different things. Just because, we had parents, our parents came here with a different mindset. They came to hustle, and loads of them thought they were going back.
Yeah.
And
They're
kudos to
still
them. I
here.
think
They never
yeah,
went
they've done
back.
They're still
amazing.
here.
Honestly, they've all done amazing. However, some of us are actually residing here. This is home. We are the first generation to this country as, Black people. So it's like, you can't keep on using that excuse of, our parents. Nah, we can't use that anymore. We need to do better.
Like, I completely agree. Like, I say this all the time, that if you can identify that your parents didn't do well, or there were areas that they didn't do so well, that means that you know better. So I feel like sometimes people will waste so much time and say, oh, my mom didn't do this, my dad didn't do this, they didn't save up for me. For the longest time, we've all have said it, but you have to come to a realization that if you are able to identify and say those things, that means that you have been enlightened to know better. So now what are you doing with what you know? Are you going to waste your time complaining about what they didn't do, or are you going to do what you know? So I feel like that's something that is very, very important. Like, I fully agree with you, Frankie.
Dr. Joan.
Let me add that the confidence, we help the children build that confidence. We must help them build the confidence. We must affirm our children. Let them know who they are. Let them know their spiritual identity. Let them know their physical identity, their emotional, professional, educational. They need to know who they are as a whole being. And so that other noise will not override yours.
That's
Because if
right.
your child knows who they are, my mom says I am this, my dad says I'm this, my grandma says I'm this. Anyone who tells them otherwise outside will be knocked down, right? And so as we help them with their identities in confidence, they're able to stand and actually are able to be resilient. If you're not confident, you will not be resilient.
Yeah.
And like, you ladies are right. We've all gone through it. Our parents were kind of hit their emotions. And I honestly, I think a few years ago, I had to tell my mom, if I say something and you don't like it, please let me know. Don't keep it in. And then she gets quiet. You guys, you know my mom. She gets quiet and doesn't say anything. So I'm sitting there going, okay, what did I say this time? And and even with that, I'm being more careful, not necessarily about being afraid of offending her, but also watching how I speak, right? Um, and the same thing applies to us. As we communicate more and more with our kids, they get the confidence, and so they're able to come to you for any and everything. This whole thing about, how was your day? They'll tell you good. I like your Frankie, I like your way of doing it. Tell me two good things, one bad thing. One parent says they would ask the parents, tell me something interesting that happened. And just kind of leave it up to them. Something interesting. It could be a good interesting, could be a bad interesting. Not, maybe nothing interesting happened. And that becomes an open-ended, conversation as opposed to one answer, good or bad. Right. And so we really need to do better. If the child also says they cannot do something, don't accept it as a final. No, you can do it. We just need to figure out how you can do it. It may not be this route, but I think you can do it. But we may have to go around the mountain 5 times, but you still get to the top, as opposed to someone who's scaling right away. But I'll always say let's use our brain, because at any given time we do not use even 10% of what God has given us in our brain. No given time, we don't use 10% at all. So imagine if we're even to be able to tap into 15 or 20,
Hey.
we'll be unstoppable as humans. And God knew what He was doing when He gave us the brain. It all starts here. Once we change our mind, and I'm kind of digressing a little bit, going into the pastor role. Romans chapter 12, verse 1 and 2, especially verse 2, says, renew your mind. Renew your mind. Once we renew our mind, all of us, our children, our parents, our grandparents, our siblings, we just have this mindset and tell the brain, you can do this. It may take a little bit longer than Pastor Phyllis, but you can still do it. And our brain will eventually say, okay, I can do this, and go with it.
Wow. We only using 10%. Oh,
Barely.
you just need 10% of it. Wow. That's interesting. But I want us, Frank, I want you to talk to um us about identity. And I particularly brought you on because I wanted you specifically to talk to us about identity, especially as you're in the digital content creation world, where people are selling usually at their identity, who they are. And we are watching people of who they are. I've got, I call them my kids, all our nephews and niece. They are at the forefront by God's grace. God has put his light on them for them to shine all around. You are exposing them to the world that a lot of people don't. And by God's grace, you're doing such a great job in stewarding them and building the identity. And I really wanted to hear from the voice of someone who is in that world, especially on how, you're building a strong sense of identity for for your children. I'm not saying that you know it all, but how are you doing it? How do you as a person as well? I've known you for a very long time. You've grown over the years and you've built your own identity as Frankie through different seasons, and you've sustained yourself up until now. And I always tell you I'm so proud of you, and I'll continue to say it. um and you've now built a person that people come online to see you. And for me, they're coming to see your identity, who you are. And so can you please talk to us about how do you build a healthy identity for your children? Um, you know, Probably using yourself as a case study, however you want to. How do you build a healthy identity? And how do you also recognize unique strengths in your children? Because you recognize those unique strengths and you position them in places where they will thrive. I I did the same with children. I've seen so many of people around. I feel so blessed when I see people around me because they're able to recognize that. But how do parents, number one, build that strong, healthy identity? Because strong identity is not always it. But how
Yeah.
do you build that healthy identity for a child and also recognize their unique strengths, and how can they use that as one of the bases to building resilience?
I'll start with identity first because with identity, it starts with him from in the house when the child comes home. So it starts from when the child come. Yeah, it starts from your house. It's just like they say, charity begins at home. Identity begins at home. What you feed your child with, what you teach your child with, what experiences you allow your child to see and to feel. Like, what do you say to your child? Do you affirm your child? Do you say to them, you can do it? I share all three of my kids do affirmations every time before they go to bed, especially my daughter. I always tell her, you're a confident, strong woman, because I know that this world chips away at women a lot. And I find as you go, you start off quite young, and you as some women are quite fiery young, and then as you get older you see that they dampen
Mm.
because life chips at you. So affirming your kids is so important. They come to you when they're hurt, they come to you when they're unsure about things, so you need to reassure them constantly about the things they're doing. Let them know. All three of my kids are different. If you know them, you'll know how different my kids are. My first child is actually he was very shy. So me and my husband noticed when he was younger, and we got him into modeling. And that's why we actually started Enzo with modeling, because we noticed he was a very shy little boy. He is still quite shy. He's very aware of his emotions.
Mm.
Sometimes I wouldn't say I fob him off, but sometimes I'm like, oh, come on, it's okay. And then sometimes, I'm like, okay, what is it? Let's step by step. I remember one time during actually a church service, I had to go on ChatGPT because there's Enzo, well, God being so good, our musical team let them play the drums. And there was one time my son said he wouldn't play the drum. And I was like, huh? You won't play what? He said he's too shy. He said he feels pressured. I said, pardon? And then I was like, because I'm just totally not like that. So I was thinking, what is going on? But he is very emotional led. He's very aware of his emotions as the 8-year-old. I just had to calm down and just say, it's okay. Don't shout at him. I actually went on ChatGPT, and it was actually during service. I, took him through it, and I was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. But just to let you know, you're going to drum, but we can go at your pace. But just so you know, you're doing it. Because I'm like, you're not doing what? So I think it's knowing your child. Whereas my second born couldn't give a flying monkey about anything. He's just, yeah, he just rolls with the world. However, when you actually get to know him, he actually cares a lot. So it's knowing each child and how they are. And my daughter is just confident. Like, she's just I love her. Yeah, love her. Just so confident. So it's every single one of my kids. I know how they are, and I know how to engage with them. And let's say they don't want to do something. If Xavier says he doesn't want to do something, I might be like, "You're doing it." But I know Enzo. If I say he doing it like that, he's going to retract, and then he's really not going to do it. So it's knowing your kids. With the online space, I can't lie. I'm still navigating it. But I do this thing where every time I post them, I just cover them in the blood of Jesus. I am putting my kids in the world, and it's a bit unfair because they don't have a choice on their identity. I am the one showing them. They might get to a point where they say they don't want to be online or they don't want to do this anymore. So I feel like I'm building their identity online, and I just pray and I hope that yes, I am putting them online, but I'm also protecting them as much as I can, and I'm showing them in a good light, a light that is not too invasive for them. But in terms of identity with your kids, it starts at home. What activities do we let our kids do? This all builds them, and this is the difference between certain children and our children. It's not because they're more intelligent than our children. Do our kids do activities? Do they do after school clubs? You know, things like this is what build their confidence, because then when they meet with their peers, so for example, in September, all the kids are going to go back. What are your kids going to say they done this September? Because it's so sad. There's going to be some kids that haven't done anything.
Yeah.
And
They've
that's
not
because their
even
parents
walked
don't
on a
like them
park.
meet. No, like, you know, recently we went to a beach and one child was there, and she was like, she's never been to the beach. And I was just looking at her, and I was looking at her parents, and I was just like, what? You know, and so imagine now she went into an environment and they were talking about going to the beach, and she couldn't now involve herself in that conversation. Let's be honest, what's that going to do to your confidence? It's going to bring you right down. Now, I'm not saying there's everything that we can do, but there's, you know, like, let's be intentional. Let us be intentional. Let's identify our kids' strong points. You know, they are unique. They are amazing children. And now I'm talking about every child, even if they have neurodivergent needs, they are all amazing. They have skills. What are those skills? How are we honing in on those skills? How are we building them for the world? Because let's be honest, we are in the world. How are we building them? And yes, we have an amazing Sunday school. We've been blessed with the best teachers, and you know, my kids, sometimes I'll say something and they'll be like, oh, no, but patience is a virtue, and I'll just be rolling my eyes at them. But also, in order to back that as well, that they're giving them, what are the realistic tools that we are equipping them with every day? Are we having conversations? I do this thing now, like I keep on telling my kids, when someone says hello, ask them how are they?
Yeah.
Like, why are you not being conversational? That is the difference between our kids and these other kids that, you know, apparently are so intelligent. What conversations are they having? Are you asking, oh, how are you? How was your day? What's your name? Why can you not go to another child and ask them their name? You find sometimes kids will play with each other the whole time. Oh, what was their name? I don't know. I'll be like, huh? Go back, find out the person's name. You know, those type of things. Like, see your child's strength. Xavier always makes this joke how he wants to be a rapper. So I'm like, no problem, I got you. You can be a rapper, but that means you need to really go in on your reading and English, because believe it or not, rappers are poets.
Yes.
So those were one of the things that identified. So I was like, okay, Xavier, so we're going to read every day because you want to be a rapper. Because have you met a rapper that doesn't know English? It's not possible. Or doesn't know his vocab, you know, things like that. So it's just, we just need to be intentional. It's hard. We live in a world where our kids are being pulled by so many things right now. Even like, you could have a 3-year-old, they could be on a tablet, they'll end up God knows where, even though you have all the parental things in place. I hate YouTube Shorts, hate it with a passion, because YouTube Shorts sometimes ends up anywhere.
Yeah.
So, you know, those type of things. I do this thing also. If my child is laughing too much on their tablet, I go and look, because why are you laughing? I don't understand. Like, what is so hilarious? And most of the time when you go and see, it's not within what they should be looking at. You know, things like that. So how we build our kids' confidence, identity, is actually being like knowing, being involved, being intentional. I scream this all the time, like, be intentional. We have to be intentional. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Frankie. And I think one of the things that, honestly, I actually personally didn't even know this, but you know, sometimes you see how children progress through certain things, and you feel like, oh yeah, they're modeling. But so they probably oh, my child looks good, so they're modeling. But she had a different mindset as to
Yeah.
why their child should be modeling. I remember I signed my daughter up for music because she wouldn't listen. And with music, you have to listen and play. You cannot play anyhow. So you have to read the music, you have to listen to your teacher, then play. And now she plays the violin so fluently. My daughter was very, very chirpy. She would talk, talk, talk. I said, you talk, you do debating. I put her into debating club, and she actually, when she finished year 11, she was one of the best debaters in the whole of London. Her school won debate club confidently. And so we say this to say that, look, don't look at the end outcome and copy another parent and say, oh yeah,
Yeah.
they put their child to play violin, so me too, my child is going to play violin.
Yeah.
My child what does your child like? What is the strength of your child? What I'm going to extracurricular activity that I'm going to put my child in, is that linked to what they are, or is that going to support them, build them up with a certain deficiency? Some kids are just really strong, they've got strong leadership skills. Put them in girls guide, put them in cadet. Some kids are not routined, they don't like routine. Put them in something that they have to work on routine every single time. One of my friends, every time she sees their children, hello, good evening, how are you? Every time her kid sees me, they say, hello, auntie, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, how are you? And I told my children, my child, you greet, hello, my name is this person. What is your name? These are little things that you
Social
use,
skills.
social skills that you're
Social
using to
skills.
build the identity of your children. And it's got to be intentional. You don't just look at the outcome. And that's what a lot of parents are doing. And even as we're wrapping up, I know the time has come to an end quick. I was just going to put in there, a lot of us are looking at the end results of other parents, and we're just think that it's just like a remote. So we
Mm-hmm.
just go and, oh, they said this school is so good. Hey, let me take my child there. My child could be like that. No, building confidence in the child takes work, as we've heard. Building confidence, building the identity of the child, you need to look at that unique child and find what will help that child to be able to get to where they're getting to. I know that we always talk about, we make references to God, and because this is a Christian background, but there is nothing that's there's systems that when you apply it, you get the same results. The Bible says that whatever a man sows, you shall reap. No one will sow an apple and reap an orange out of it. And I really want us to think about that. It is never too late for us to start building that resilience in the child, but you have to put in the work. You have to go back to the drawing board. Where is my child at? What is my child going to do? Can I push my child to be able to go to? And how can I look at their emotional well-being and nurture it for it to get to a good place? I feel tonight we've had a very good conversation, but there's a round table that I really want to do. I know the time is so short, but we've got other sessions coming up in the following weeks. But I really want to put the question around to all the panelists. If you could one practical action to help build resilience within their child or within their children, what would it be? One practical action that you believe that it could be the starting point to kickstart everybody. And Pastor Joe, I really want you to also speak to parents that just feel like, there's nothing I can do anymore. They are off the rails. Maybe because we talk about children as well, where we also deal with parents that are dealing with teenagers, especially. How can we begin? I know a good friend of mine that puts their child through counseling and through different things, and when you see the child now, it is like night and day. And that transition happened when they were like 17 and 16, 17, which is no, actually 17, 18, even when they had been developed. So I really want Dr. Adwa, if you can actually speak to parents that that want to kickstart that thing in their children, want to have a fresh start this coming September, this next few weeks. what can they do? What practical steps can they start with? Dr. Adjoa, please, I'll start with you.
Okay, so the one thing you can do, really, as we've already decided and discussed, get to know your child, see what interests them, see what their strengths are, and build on that. Please build on it, because as I said, the brain can develop that. I mean, you can rewire. That's the word I was looking for. You can rewire our brains at any time, as long as you have life in your body and your neurons are there.
Pastor Adjoa, please say that as long as you
Long as
have
you have
life in your
life
body,
in your body,
you can
because
rewire your
technically the
brain.
only time you're fully dead is when your brain waves are gone. That's when you're dead. So your heart can stop. As long as you have brain waves, you're not dead, right? So to be clinically dead, you have to have no brain waves. Okay. So as long as you have life in your body, your brain waves are still going, you can do anything. So it's a matter of retraining the brain on what you want to do. There's no skill that is a microwave. So find out what your child's interests are. And even that interest, sometimes you can look at your child and know, yeah, you might be interested in this, but I really don't believe that's the right thing for you to be doing. Get them to be interested in what you, as the parent, knowing how the child is, what you believe will be the best for them. If they're older, talk about it, negotiate, but don't back down. Don't just let them walk away and say, no, this is the end of it for me, because the brain can be developed. As I said, it takes 21 days to form a habit, but it has to be intentional. So you do the same thing every day, every day, every day, every day, every day. In 21 days, the habit will be formed. It will be difficult to go back. Why? Because it will take that long for the brain, the neurons, to form that network. And once they form the network and establish it, then it stays. But if not, it regresses back, right? So we can always make connections. My mom is 81. She loves puzzles. So anything that challenges your brain, it wants that. So challenge your brain to do something different that is not, status quo. It's not something that you do all the time, and force the brain to do that. So parents, please, again, find your child's interest, see what you believe will be the best one for the child. You guys sit down, come up with a plan, and help that child get there, because it is possible. It is absolutely possible. It's never too late.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Pastor
you.
Adjoa, Dr. Adjoa. I'll go to Val, please.
What I would say, I'm just gonna step away from the ward and from my role and just step into my mom role. Having a 2-year-old is like, I remember at the beginning when I see her fall, I'll be like running to her. Oh my God, no, you're falling, she'll hurt herself. My husband be like, just leave her, let her, she'll get up. Because the more you do that, she will cry.
Mhm.
And when I started practicing that, I realized that the moment she falls, she'll look around to see if anyone's gonna act, and then she'll just get herself up. And like being a mom is teaching me so much about like we, as I said before, we are the carers. We are the one taking care of them. We're the one teaching them things because they can't, teach themselves. And it's important to like when in the topic of resilience, it's like letting them understand that yes, you will fall. However, you'll be able to get yourself back up again and continue. And that's why I use that as an example, because I remember beginning, I used to panic so much. And then my husband had to say, just leave her. And now she'll fall, she'll start running, she'll start laughing again, but it's like she had to be taught that. And if we kept on like picking her up, she wouldn't learn anything. So I believe that, adding to what Pastor Joa and Frankie also said, that we need to know our children for ourselves. We need to know what they're good at. We need to be able to, lead them and steward them to the right thing, and, continue to empower them really. That's literally all we can do.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Frank. You're mute again. I'm going to charge you £5
Guys, I keep
today.
on doing this. I know it's
I'll
so
charge
bad.
you £5.
I'll just encourage parents to speak life over their children, most importantly,
Mm.
because every day there's this prayer that I pray that I always say, ask God to equip me to be the best mother for each of my child individually, just because they're all so different. Because I
Yeah.
can't be Frankie just generally, but equip me to be the best for Enzo, for the best for Xavier, best for Esperanza. Also, affirm them, tell them they can do it, encourage them. Sometimes they just need encouragement, and just do things with them, speak to them. Kids actually have so much to say. Give them like little things. If you speak to them about something, or give them an assignment, tell them to write about what they spoke about. If you go out with them, you just need to continually do things to encourage their brains to do something. I think that's what makes them confident and resilient children. So speak life over your child. Speak to them. Like generally speak to them. Not, oh, are you okay? Okay, oh, I gotta go. Which I know it's hard. I'm not blaming anyone. Just take time out. And also, which we all do anyway, just pray over them all the time. Like they are good. They are good. So thank you.
All right. Thank you all so much. And I will personally say this to my neurodivergent moms. There's one thing that Pastor Ajua said: as long as you have life inside of you, you can always rewire the brain.
Yep.
Don't accept the things that are happening or the things that the child is doing and the things that they're not able to do. I said, this is it. No, it is not it. As long as there is life. And she said something, the heart can even stop as long as there will be brain functionality, there is a transformation that can happen. And I know that today, even as we've talked about, the starting points, which is building the mindset, building the identity, looking at the emotional well-being of our children. We've spoken about so much, and I pray that you've written something down. You're going to go back. You can always go back on YouTube and rewatch it and put some points down. And we will also be sharing the highlight points on our Instagram pages. We'll go back and have a look at these highlighted points and the takeaways and go back and begin to think, what is it that I want to see my children doing in this new academic year? Every season comes as this difference, but I believe that if you're intentional and you begin to pick these things up, the little things that you're doing, God will amplify it and be able to go ahead of you and be your children's help. I want to say a big thank you to Dr. Ajua, all the way from America. Honestly, she's gone through so much hoops to be with us tonight, and I do not take it for granted. God bless you. I want to say big, huge thank you to my personal person, Frankie. God bless you all the time. You're a blessing to me and to many. I want to say thank you to Val Jabril. She is a sweet soul. She's amazing. And she's always on here wanting to share more about mental health and well-being. And she has a CIC called Skills Shepherd that really deals much more about the mental state of helping men develop the mental state of people. So if you want to know more, she will be at our fair on the 22nd of August. She'll be there and she'll be able to talk to you and engage with you as much as you want. God bless you all. Next week, Tuesday, we shall be here and we will be talking about resilience in action. So we're going to go with the action, like things, how does it look like on our day to day, and what are people battling with, and how are we going to be able to take the right steps to go through. We always do our best to make sure that we bring the right professionals. And I always say I feel so blessed to be able to bring this panel to you, and these are people that I know personally as well. So God richly bless everyone that joined us tonight. Look out for next week, Tuesday. We're back here again, 8 p.m. to talk about resilience in action. And if you've not registered for our fair, we have a fair coming up that we're going to be giving away goodies for back to school. Like, so if you need any goodies for your children, school essentials, please register on our Eventbrite and just come, and we're going to have a blast. We're going to share good tips for you to be able to use for when your kids go back to school, and send you away with some goodies as well. Also, all this cannot happen without your support. We have put out a link for you to be able to support us financially, so that we can also be a blessing to other families that can't even afford things like uniforms, school uniforms, and things like that. So all these things are happening simultaneously. I know it's a lot, but back to school entails a lot. So please help us. If you want to help us in any way, shape, or form, please send us a DM, or if you've got my number, send me a text message, and then I'll be able to respond to you and ask you to help us. Thank you all so much, and God bless you. We shall see you back here again next week at 8 p.m. Goodbye.
God bless you. Bye.
God bless you. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
God bless you. Bye.